Okay, today we're going to talk about Kajukenbo concepts. Okay, we get a lot of questions about the difference between traditional systems and Kajukenbo. Okay, Kajukenbo is a modern day system. Okay, it's created in Hawaii, so it's an American system. It was created by guys that really weren't interested in this aesthetic parts of traditional martial arts. Acronym Kajukenbo, 5 systems: Korean Karate, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, Danganru Jiu-Jitsu, Kodokan Judo, Kempo, which in those days was called Kempo Jiu-Jitsu in Hawaii, Chinese boxing. Chinese basically just refer to most martial arts as boxing. Westerners call it Kung Fu. The particular style was Silam Pai Kung Fu. Okay. The 2 minor systems that really influenced a lot of the training in modern Kajukenbo were Western boxing, 4 of the 5 founders boxed, and also Eskrima, the Filipino martial art. A lot of our strikes, limb destructions, angling in our attacks and defenses all come from Eskrima. A lot of our punching attacks, a lot of our punching defenses all come from boxing, Western boxing, not Chinese boxing. So what you see in Kajukenbo is you don't see traditional weapons attacks, you don't see traditional punching type defenses. Where if you look in traditional arts like Korean arts, Japanese arts, when you see a punching attack, the attacker normally will come from a forward type stance and do a stepping in lunge punch. Okay, now if you look at it from the other angle, stepping in lunge punch, this leg forward, this hand's drawn to the waist, some draw it a little higher, and that's basically what we call a kata punch. Okay? Now, the thing is, for beginners, that's a good way to work off of punch, because basically you have to cover a lot of distance to do that attack. Okay? But the thing is, most people don't fight that way. Most people are not going to sit there and step through lunge, punch at you here, and draw their hand here. So when they developed Kajukenbo punch counters, punching defenses, punching tricks, different groups call them different things, tricks, counters, defenses, they worked them off of boxing attacks. Because again, back in the 40s, 50s in Hawaii, a lot of people boxed. In the poorer communities, Kalihi, Palama, that was a way out of the ghetto to be a boxer, just like in America. It was a way out of barrios and ghettos to be a boxer. Okay, so they worked from a boxer stance. They worked from a boxer's right cross. Okay, if you look at a right cross, basically the foot doesn't step forward to telegraph your box or your punch coming in, and your guard is here. Okay, your hand's not here waiting for that hook punch to your jaw. Your guard is right here. You can still punch quickly, do multiple punches from here, just as you can from down here. But it's a little bit more realistic when you get in a fight that someone is just basically going to haul off and punch you. A lot of our grab arts, you're going to see a barroom type punch. Someone's going to grab you from behind, turn you around, and punch you. Or they're going to grab you and hook punch you. Or they're going to do a boxer combination. They're going to throw a right cross and then a hook punch versus a step-in punch. Those are some of the things that make Kajukenbo a little bit different than traditional systems. Nowadays on YouTube, there's all kinds of fights you can look at. You can watch street fights, fights in high school, all kinds of fights, and you're not going to see people doing this, stepping in lunge punch. Every once in a while you'll see someone run in, there's a wild punch like that, but most of the time people are going to be in tight punching a knee. So one of the differences in Kajukenbo is we look at a modern day type of self-defense. And that's just with stand-up punching defenses. Again, there's the judo and the jiu-jitsu techniques in there. Jiu-jitsu techniques, seizing, twisting, grabbing, work much better against different types of knife attacks, club attacks. Kajukenbo, we don't do defenses against a sword. We don't do defenses against a bow staff, anything like that. We do defense against a club, which basically can be anything someone picks up, from a tire iron to a bottle to a stick or whatever. We do defenses against a club. We do defenses against the knife. Okay? People carry knives all the time now. That's a common thing. You're not going to find somebody with a samurai sword attacking you. Maybe, but probably not. Okay? So we're talking about Kajukenbo. 5 systems, 2 minor systems, 7 systems basically. And then over the years people have added other things to it. But the thing you look at, back in 1947, nobody knew how to categorize Kajukenbo. It was traditional karate from Japanese, traditional taekwondo in the late 50s, 60s, traditional judo. Kajukenbo was one of those arts that they called eclectic because they really didn't have a category to put it in. It was something a little bit different. Nowadays, if you take 2 or 3 systems, you combine them, they call it mixed martial arts. Kajukenbo had 5 systems, or actually 7 systems in it in 1947. So most of us consider Kajukenbo the original mixed martial art. Okay, now there's a name for it. In 1947 there wasn't. It was sort of, most of the schools just called it Kempo Karate. And when they looked at the techniques, they saw some judo and jiu-jitsu in there. Okay. So, Sifu Leland, come on up. Again, talking about punching attacks. Let's take a position. If I sit there and I do a lunge punch, I'm going to have to be back this far to lunge punch towards him. Okay, if he's a beginner, that gives him a whole lot of time to either move, block, or do something. Okay, now that's good for beginners, but in Kajukenbo you're not going to see that in a lot of schools. You're not going to see attacks like this, especially attacks to the chest, like that. Okay, switch places. So again, this is important. Okay, when I come here, I want to show you this. This is important. This is nice for kata. This is nice for developing these muscles when you do kata, developing your speed and that type of thing. And there's some techniques where this draw hand is going to come in handy. But for punching toe-to-toe, that's not good. Okay, I mean, we're talking about a hook punch here. If he throws a hook punch to my jaw, I'm out of it. Okay? So, again, this is a long technique, a lot of time for him to react, good for beginners. Now when you're talking about real fighting, we're going to be up close to each other. And I'm going to go like this. Okay? He's going to have to do something quick. He's probably not going to step back, up block, or anything like that. He's going to do probably a boxer's parry, what we call brush block, because it's a very quick technique. He's going to angle. He's not going to go back. If he goes back, he's not going to get hit by me, but he's not going to be able to hit me either. Okay, if he angles, he's going to be able to avoid the punch coming straight in, and he's going to be able to hit me because he's doing 2 separate things. He's accomplishing 2 separate things. If I sit there and I back up and block, I'm not getting hit, but I'm also well out of range at counterattacking him. If he attacks me and I angle, the punch goes right by me, but I'm still close enough to counterattack. So that's one of the important things in Kajukenbo is angling. Okay? We do it from the Eskrima techniques that we learn and from the Kempo techniques that we do angling. Again, if I throw a punch, he does a boxer's parry. It's a very quick punch. He can move offline very quick, and he can react to me. Okay, if he punches me, that's as fast as I need to block. Okay? Here we see Eskrima. Okay? Again, we probably need to change angle so you understand what this is. Okay, punch through. Okay, we're going to do groin kick, but what we're doing is we're doing limb destruction. Okay, or what the Filipino arts call gunting, which means scissoring. When you scissor. But basically we're taking this bicep muscle and we're attacking that. We're taking this arm out of the fight. Okay? If you were doing a screamo with a weapon, you'd be cutting that bicep, coming back, cutting the tricep. Okay? If you were doing it with the stick, the same thing. You'd be hitting the bicep, coming back, hitting the tricep or hitting that bicep, coming across the ribs, cracking ribs. Okay? The limb disruption part is what you're going to see in Kajukenbo a lot. We're just going to do it empty-handed. Okay, when he's here, it's a real quick brush block, an attack there, and you're going to see that combined with the Kempo kick, a real short snapping kick, low, below the waist. Okay? Like that. Okay, so we're going to do three things. This is what Sijo Emperado invented. Sijo Emperado, as a Filipino Hawaiian, grew up doing boxing, grew up doing eskrima, was exposed to it a lot. His contribution was Kempo karate, Western boxing, and eskrima.